introducing Laura as she comes to the stage. But let's give a big round of applause for Lina. Very cool.
I'm recording it. I'm not muted on this one. Oh. Can't hear very well.
I think Rafael to the mic.
Better? That's better. Okay. Well, I just said a bunch of awesome
Yeah,
things
okay.
that you guys
I will
missed.
we'll see you on there. Thank you so much for sending me the
I was
meeting.
saying we have some
Everything happens for a
champions here in
reason.
Ontario.
Thanks for
It's
not
like
being a stranger.
8:30 our time, and there's some that made it out. A lot on Zoom. Good to see. But we're going to dive right in because we want to make sure we stay on time. But like Rafael was saying, I too was raised with thinking money was the root of all evil. I was kind of raised in a very like legalistic type church where we just didn't talk about it, and therefore most didn't have it, right? And people thought that we were kind of taught that, you know, wealthy people are evil, and it kind of depicts that in movies too, right? It's not just faith-based, you know, like if someone was raised that way, it's also society, right? And so it was just really a lack of understanding of how money works, right? And so I love this topic because I've been in the financial industry for 15 years now. And because I was raised that way, when I first actually started, my family was kind of like, are you sure you're in the right industry? You're literally around money all the time. And so I kind of questioned, like, am I in the right industry? And as I started learning more about this topic, it just hit me that how important it is. And we're going to share that with you guys. But a little bit of a background, I've been with our firm now for 15 years, like I mentioned. I grew up in a family of 13 kids. So as you can imagine, even if you're a millionaire, there's not a lot of money left at the end of each month with that. And because we are immigrants to Canada, we've been here now 30 years. My parents they didn't know what questions to ask. They didn't know how to speak the language, right? And so they kind of winged it financially. And now it's retirement time, and they're having to wait a little bit longer, right? We've been blessed to help them with their retirement, but otherwise they would have been working still, right? And so it's so important. I thought, okay, if I can catch people early enough where they're learning about money and finance when they're younger, right, then they have that chance to be able to save and make sure that they're financially sound and prepared. So that's what we're going to cover here tonight. And then Laura is going to talk a little bit more about our expansion.
You're supposed to get the brain
But to save time, I'll dig into this really quick. Can you guys all see my screen? Yeah, okay, I see it there. This is a little my background. My favorite title is mom. She doesn't call me mom yet, but we're working on that. She cannot speak yet. But like I said, I'll keep this part short since I already went into a little bit of my background. But my amazing husband and I have been working together now within our business for the last couple years, and he's here tonight as well, actually. So you can connect with me on social media if you have questions or anything like that. Feel free. I always love to do that as well. Okay, so let's dig into things here. So why is this important? The Bible contains 500 verses on prayer, fewer than 500 on faith, but more than 2,350 verses on money and possessions. Isn't that crazy? Right? 15% of everything that Jesus talked about had to do with money and how we handle it. Why? Because it can either ruin you if you're not doing it properly, or you can really bless a lot of people if you do it properly, right? How we handle money affects our fellowship with God. And so that part, again, is very important. Our responsibility is to become good stewards of our money that God blesses us with, right? When we acknowledge God's ownership and that it's his money, his possessions, right? We tend to treat that a little bit different as well. And then the couple of verses here, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be added to you. I think this is a verse we have to really remind ourselves of often, right? Because in the pursuit of success and building our lives, sometimes it can be easy to lose sight of that, right? And it's important to make sure we're always remembering that. So let's go through the next little bit. I'll go through these briefly because we're going to touch on it in the following slides. But when you build a strong financial plan, it's important to go over these few steps. We'll dig into cash flow and debt and why those are really, really important in the next couple slides. But from there, it's setting up an emergency fund because life is going to happen, right? It's not a matter of if, it's when. And I think if COVID taught us anything over the last little bit, it's that we just never know, right? We can't expect what's going to actually happen. So we want to have at least 3 to 6 months of expenses set aside and put away. right? When it comes to the debt side, I had a client in BC where they actually had accumulated about $98,000 on credit card debt through COVID. And good people, like they weren't, it's not like they were just squandering it all away, but good people, but he just couldn't work for a couple of years, right? And so they had to feed their kids somehow, and they racked it up. And the bank doesn't, they don't necessarily, they want to give us more debt. they'll give you more credit cards, but they didn't want to help them with it, right? And they were, although making 200,000 a year and had a great income, they were still paycheck to paycheck because they had these payments all the time. So we actually helped them get it down from 17 years to 2.5, and over 50,000 in interest, right? And so that's the part that's really, really important. And when it comes to building a strong financial plan, we have to have all the puzzle pieces kind of fit together, right? And if we're skipping those, which a lot of advisors skip those first couple steps because they focus on what pays them the most, it's not helping clients, right? From there, proper protection, we'll talk about what the Bible says about life insurance, and then building wealth and preserving wealth as well. So when it comes to cash flow, Luke 16:10 says, if you are faithful with the little things, you'll be faithful with large ones as well. But if you're dishonest with little, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. So sometimes people are like, why am I not successful yet? why is it not where I want to be yet? Have you been faithful with the money that you have been given? Have you, tithed? All those kinds of things that are really important. The question to ask is, look at your bank account, right? We give our clients an expense tracker, which whoever invited you out can send it to you. But we give them an expense tracker to fill out. And I'll be honest, the first time I filled it out years and years ago, I realized I had a addiction to Starbucks. It was over $250 a month in Starbucks. It's just crazy. And shopping and all these kind of different things. But when you really look at what's actually coming out, your priorities are Starbucks. It's not protecting your family, right? Let's just be honest. Let's call it what it is, right? What is your priority? Wherever your money goes, that's where your priorities are in life, right? Question to ask yourself is, do you have a cash flow problem where we just don't have enough to make ends meet? Or do we have a spending problem? And typically when people fill out the expense tracker, there's usually areas where we can really cut back and make sure that we're not spending as much as we can. And then sometimes it's just a cash flow problem. And nowadays in this economy, right? I moved from Alberta to Ontario a couple of years ago, which it went from, cheap to expensive basically. Even professionals here, nurses, engineers, all that kind of stuff, they almost need a secondary income because it's not enough to live on. You can't buy a house unless you're at a 190 a year combined household income, right? So people need to be earning more as well. So sometimes you can be as good as you can be on the cash flow side and how you spend. But if it's just not enough coming in, then we have to look at ways now how to increase our income. And that's what Laura's going to talk more about. Romans 12:2 says, do not be conformed to this world. I think especially with the world of social media, right?
Oh, right.
You want all the latest trends, and influencers will influence you and think that you need every new outfit that's out there and all these different things. And people are literally spending so much money
Do you
to
want
impress
it to
people they
just
don't
taste
even
like
know
milk
or
and
like
sugar, basically?
with money that they don't have, right? And it's sad
You
because,
gotta be go to sleep
that's
though when
the
it's
reality,
good.
unfortunately. But so much of that
I'll see what
happens,
flavors.
right?
I'm gonna let you smell.
And
You
it's
wanna get
important
this
to,
out?
for as long as you can, live below your means, because then you'll have so much to put towards savings and being just very smart financially, having that financial discipline. When it comes to debt, what does the Bible say about debt? Owe no man anything, just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower will be a servant to the lender. And so now people say, well, how can we get away from all debts completely? That can be hard sometimes, right? When we can owe money is if the item that you purchase, so let's say like a house, has the appreciation value, right? And I mean, most people can't put, 4 or 5, a million if you live in Ontario down on a house, right? So in those situations where it appreciates, not the end of the world. Where the value of the item equals or exceeds the amount that owed against it. And you want to really avoid credit cards, because sometimes you think you paid $500 for something and it ends up, with payments and interest, ends up being much more than that. All right, I'll go through this really quick, but a strategy that you can use when it comes to debt repayment is the snowball effect. Basically, in this situation here, this client had a Visa, MasterCard, line of credit. 21,000 owing. They're paying about $600 a month interest, and then it would have taken 78 months to pay off, right? Over 10,000 in interest. And sometimes seeing these numbers, it's gross just to see how much goes to interest, right? And just by doing the snowball effect, so taking one of the debts, paying that off first. And what do people do when they pay off a car? They're like, sweet, now I have an extra $600 a month to spend. When really we should be tacking that onto the next debt. And so that's called the snowball effect. So you put minimums on everything and just focus on really tackling one, take that once it's paid off, tackle the next. And by doing that, you go from 78 months to 40, saving over $5,000 just in interest. I would say this is a small client in terms of debt. Usually debt is a much, much bigger number that we unfortunately see, right? And especially in those situations, you can see the impact that it makes. We'll go through this here, the different places you can put your money and how to different accounts to invest in. So once we've done some of the first steps is getting your finances and your spending in order, to getting a debt plan put in place, when it comes to emergency funds, having that set up, and making sure you're properly protected, which life insurance is so important. You know, sometimes and I'll talk about it a little bit more, but sometimes we don't really think just how important it is. In a couple weeks, I'm going to have to deliver a death claim for a 12-year-old. And we just had our first this past year, and I couldn't even imagine losing, a child. And she unfortunately lost her battle to cancer. And at least something brings me back, right? At least those parents, they can have some time to just not see humans for a while if they don't want to. They can leave the country for a while, right? Take the time, make sure the mortgage and all other expenses are paid with no financial issues, right? It never brings that person back, but it just helps you a little bit on the financial side. What do most people do? They go and set up a GoFundMe account. And there's so many GoFundMe accounts. I think that there's so many that people they don't even pay attention to them. They're like, oh, unfortunate, that's sad, and they swipe, right? Personally, for me, oops, I'm about to hit the mic. Hopefully that wasn't loud. I don't want to have to, have my family going on Facebook asking strangers for money. Hey, can you donate to my GoFundMe account? I would never want to put my family in that situation. Because even if they do raise 10, 20,000, which I don't really see these days anymore on GoFundMe, that's not enough, right? An average funeral is 30, 40,000.
Or the other kind I like.
So we want to properly plan for that. So different accounts that we can invest in and have set up. Today we're just going through some of the basics here. Again, whoever invited you out can go into more of a in-depth explanation here. But when it comes to investing, obviously in real estate, a home is always a good idea. What we do on our end as advisors is we'll work directly with mortgage brokers to find the best rate that's out there, so that they can save money. I know when I was buying my house, our mortgage broker actually saved us 1% less than what the banks were offering. Personally, I'm not married to one company, right? And I know the bank wouldn't be either, right? They're not going to fork out the difference. So if there's something better out there, right? At least we know about it and we have it set up, right? And that puts thousands of dollars back in my pocket every year. And then if you have mortgage life insurance, and if you're unsure if you do or not, check your mortgage statement because it might be there. Mortgage life insurance is not guaranteed to pay out. So you might be paying $100-200 a month for something that'll never pay out. I don't know about you, but I don't want to throw out money like that, right? With an actual life insurance company, they do the proper underwriting. They check if you qualify. And then they do all the health questions. They do all the digging. And God forbid if something happens.
Hey, winter tea. This is chocolate peppermint. You want to try that one?
Right? So very night and day difference from creditor insurance. And by the way, creditor insurance can also be found on your car loan. Right? You ever leave buying a car and you're like, why is it so much more expensive than what the lot number said, right? Because they add on all these different things. And I have clients that work in the car industry and they're like, yeah, that's where we make our money. Right? And so you can have it on there too. So things like that, check. I wouldn't cancel anything until you have something else in place. That's really important. But again, chat with your advisor and they can break that down. Then we have RSPs, tax or savings accounts. These are kind of the two main investment vehicles that we have in Canada. With RSPs, let's say you put $10,000 in here, you get a deduction, right? That's nice. But at some point, you do have to pay the taxes on it, right? So let's say you throw in 10 and now it grows to 100,000, right? That is, you're getting taxed on that depending on your tax rate at that point on the full 100,000 that you have in there. right? And so it's kind of like getting taxed on the harvest, right? The TFSA, you're getting taxed on the seed. The RSP, you're getting taxed on the harvest when it's already grown. That's what you're getting taxed on. So is an RSP the best for everybody?
Okay.
It really makes sense for some people, and it really doesn't make sense for others, right? So it's important to have a customized plan. Oftentimes we see these accounts misused, and people have them set up because someone at the teller at the bank said they should get one set up, right? And it doesn't always fit them. So when should you have it? Basically 3 reasons. If you made a pile of money one year, you're paying arm and leg in taxes, that's when it makes sense to contribute to an RSP, right? Because you'll be able to access it lower once you retire. The other one is, the second one is if you have an employer that matches what you put in, always take advantage of that. That's free money. And then last one, I say third-ish reason is because for the first-time home buyers plan. So if you don't have if you have used the FHSA and it's not quite enough room for a down payment, you can pair it up with the RSP first-time home buyers plan. But I would definitely try to aim for just the FHSA because that one is.
If you want to grab me that flour, we're going to make a sauce.
Now the TFSA, let's say we put that same 10 grand in, it grows to 100. Well, that 100,000 is all tax-free, right? Because we've already been taxed on the initial amount that we put in. So TFSA, you can't really go wrong. I say you can only go wrong if you have an account that's not really growing, right? Because then this account is really pointless. You might as well just stick it under your mattress, right? Because it's tax-free growth. If it's not growing, it's a useless account. So we want to make sure our money's actually growing. The open account, not as often used. I don't think you should have it set up unless you have the other ones here first, but it's another option, right? If the other ones are maxed out, that's the next place that you can go. You're taxed on half of the capital gains. First-time home savings account, if you're planning to buy a house, this is a really great account to get set up because any dollars you put into it is tax-free. And then when you withdraw, it has to be for a house. You have to prove that you're buying a house, tax-free as well. And then lastly is the permanent insurance, which I will talk about in the next slide here. But a lot of people think when it comes to insurance that you only use it when you pass away. But this one you can actually use while living as well. So it's a really great strategy to utilize to grow your money tax-free if it makes sense for your situation. So those are kind of all the different accounts. Briefly went through those. So what does the Bible say about insurance? Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Right? Especially if you're in a position right now where you have a mortgage or you're the main income earner, things like that. It's so important to make sure you have that set up. The church I grew up in, actually, they're like, oh, the church is going to help out. And of course, the church, hopefully the church helps out. But are they going to replace your $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 income every year?
Hey, Mom.
Probably not, right? They'll miss you, but they'll miss
pour a little bit of
your
milk
income
in
as
here,
well.
and we're just letting this
family,
steep.
right? It's important to make sure we
Steeping
have
is what you
that
call it when
in
you
place.
let the tea bag.
What does the Bible say about investing? Proverbs 21:20. A wise man saves for the future, but the foolish man spends whatever he gets.
The sugar from the
Have we all been the latter? Right? I know when I got my first job growing up in a massive family of 13 kids, we never really got anything, right? I think my first job, it was like 14 years old, my first paycheck spent. I had it spent before it even came in. And I was just like finally able to get things for myself. And that's where the spending kind of started. And I had to backtrack and really learn some good money habits outside of that. But are you saving for your future? If you're like, Lina, I barely have anything left at the end of the month, right? This is where it's important to look at a full financial plan to see, oftentimes there's areas that we can help cut back, right? And it's so worth it. They don't pay us for the work that we do. We get paid for the product providers that we work with. So put the agent that invited you out, right? Put a whole plan together. Get that expense tracker done so you can really see what's going on. We have no problem at all showing you a plan. And our focus is education, right? A lot of advisors, they kind of focus on sales and, who's the biggest client out there. We want to make sure we start people with where they're at. Because I myself, at 19 years old, when I first started with our firm, I didn't have a financial plan, right? I thought credit card was free money, right? So I was able to learn all these really, really important steps. And we want to make sure that that's the same for all of you. Proverbs 21:5, steady plotting brings prosperity. Hasty speculation brings poverty, right? So it's okay if that's where we're at right now.
See if I can make one for
some of those tweaks. By the way, a great book to read. That's all you need. Is exactly everything we're talking about is.
It was longer than 2 minutes. I didn't set
Your Money Counts. Slipped my mind for a second. It's called Your Money Counts by Howard Dayton, and he goes through a lot of these topics. So if you want to really dig in, there's a workbook too that kind of goes into that. For time's sake, I'm going to go through this really, really quick, but that universal life that I was talking about, the insurance portion, there's multi-uses for it, right? So if you can set it up for yourself personally, and really what this is, it's a life insurance policy that gives you lifetime protection. Most term policies, you're 20 years later, 30 years later, we have to renew it. I want to be very clear. If that's all we can afford, get that. I'd rather you have some coverage than try to stretch and, put some into a universal life, because those will be more than your basic term policy. So check with where you're at, what makes most sense for your situation. You can always convert it to this once cash flow is a little bit better, right? I had a client that just got married and they're like, we want to keep costs low, wedding's expensive. And then in a couple years, once they settled into their house and mortgage, that's when we upgraded it for them, right? So make sure you're taking those smart steps. So you can have it for yourself. So for me, I set mine up when I was 19, and my mom's like, why do you need life insurance? And I was like, well, if I die, you'll be rich. And my mom didn't like that. So maybe don't say that to your mom. But in all fairness, in all seriousness, I wanted to make sure that they were going to be taken care of. Because retirement was kind of just off the table for them, because no one educated them, because they weren't a big fish. The bank kind of overlooked them. And so I wanted to make sure that my dream of retiring my parents would be fulfilled, even if I did pass away young, right? But I knew one day I'd buy a house, have kids, so I'd kind of need it anyways. So you might as well get it when you're young and healthy, and it's super cheap. So you can set up for yourself personally. My husband and I, we actually set this up for our daughter as well. So you can have it set up for children if you want an alternative to our ESPs, which is also a great option. But we set this up for her so she can use it for education, first-time homeowner, right? A wedding. She can use it for a business, whatever we let her use it for, right? Because we're the owner of the policy, so you can kind of control what they spend that money on. But the average policy, let's say you're putting in $100 a month. At 18 years old, about $30,000. And I mean, this will vary depending on male, female, all that kind of stuff, but this is approximate numbers, right? And if they keep the policy till retirement, she'd have over $1 million in there if we don't put any more than that in. Now, $1 million today versus 65 years from now, because she's still not one, a little bit of a different number, but hey, that's a pretty good gift for mom and dad. And we're going to teach her wise financial counsel, so that way she's a saver, right? So she'll put a whole lot more into this policy as she gets older as well, right? So it can be used for kids as well. Corporations, if you own a business, this was actually created for business owners. If you have retained earnings within your business, that's kind of just sitting there, you don't know what to do with it. If you pull it out, you get taxed an arm and a leg. Then this is another way to take some of the surplus within your corp, redirect it into a policy that the corporation owns, and then you're able to access it personally down the road. Right, so a really, really smart way. A lot of our corporate clients have this. Again, it has to make sense for the right situations. You want to make sure you have a good amount of retained earnings within your company, but that's another strategy that you can build tax-free wealth long term. All right, giving. I have a couple more slides, and then we'll bring Laura up here. Giving with the right attitude will increase your intimacy with God. It can be hard sometimes, right? We're being honest, right? It's not always easy to give when you're like, oh, it's a little tough right now. But where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So this is what I was talking about when it came to where we spend our money. And your bank account will tell you what your priorities are, right? Sometimes it's Starbucks. Sometimes it's eating out. Sometimes it's who knows what. I met with a single mom once, and she was like, I have zero money to save for my child's future. We looked at it. She got her nails done every month, lashes, hair, $500 every few months or whatever. And again, it comes down to priorities, what's important, and then you can kind of work some of those other things in there. It develops your character because you have to really practice that trust, right, of giving. And it increases blessings as well.
But it's okay that
when you sow into other people,
no, it's not.
you'll reap as well, right? And that you have an abundance
I
of
just heard it. I was listening.
must each decide in your heart how much to give, and don't give reluctantly or in response to pressure. So cheerfully giving and knowing and trusting that it comes back, right? Money is meant to move.
Hey Google, read that song.
Okay. I think this is the last couple slides from here. So remember, it's better to earn $1 faithfully than it is $1 million unfaithfully, right? sometimes in the business world or whatnot, right, these situations maybe can be tempting depending on, what your business is, right? It's so important in the world that we live in and how the government misuses our money and things like that, that it's almost like a normal thing, right? But for those of you guys individually, your situations, right? Being faithful with how you earn that income, very important. Even though it might be done unconsciously, money molds people. In the process of getting it, saving it, using it, and giving it, are you the master of money or is money the master of you? Money is the exact index to our true character, right? So which one are you at right now? 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money. I only got the last part. Money is the root of all evil. That's what I was raised with. And I was like, oh boy, right? But it's the love of money. And again, it can be a slippery slope, but very important. As you're developing your character, developing means taking some time. It doesn't necessarily just happen over time. Being faithful with the little that you might have to be able to earn more. And then when you do have it, to make sure you're not misusing it, right? With the wrong attitude. Last part here, where we invest is important, right? This can be the difference between you being able to give and bless others and make sure you're, first of all, planning properly for retirement, that you'll have enough, is where we invest our money. In this situation here, let's say this client has 50,000. Can you guys see the mouse? Yeah, okay. They have 50,000, they're saving 250 a month at a 3% rate of return, which is a very typical number that you'll see with the average bank, right? Sometimes a little more, sometimes less, depending on kind of how the markets do. But if you have 35 years to retirement, this client here has 3,000 or 325,000. Whereas if you take that same 50,000, 250 a month, 8% growth instead of 3, same timeline, almost 3 million. Yeah, we want to be this one. So where are we at? My dad was always so afraid of investing because of what happened with the Russian ruble, and it went to zero. And he's like, nope, I'm just going to put in my bank account. And when they sold their house, what they had, and we kind of looked at the numbers, had they kept it invested, even in something conservative, it would have produced an extra $100,000 to $300,000 at retirement, depending on the return. Right? If we had it invested in a safe place. We're not stockbrokers. We can't give advice on crypto. Not that they're necessarily bad, right? But they're high risk. Most people do not have the risk tolerance. So where we come in is we'll give strong, steady sort of returns with great investment, well-known investment firms where we can get that money working harder, right? So these are just some examples. So take a look at what you currently have. See the growth that you're getting within your statements. And again, send those statements over. There's no personal info on there or anything to your advisor, and they'll look at if there's something better out there. And that could be the difference between having, in that example, an extra $1 million, right? So it makes a big difference. So I know we wanted to stay on time here, so I tried to rush through that. I hope you guys took some notes. I hope you wrote down some of those verses to really go back, right? Maybe even get that Your Money Counts book and really go study it, because it's not just a one call that you're going to have everything figured out, right? If you chat with the advisor that invited you out, that's where you can start to dig into your actual financial plan, right? Start studying it. Maybe even do a little study with some friends from church or something, and you can really start to work on some of these topics because that's how you start to really transform your situation and your relationship with money, right? That part's really important. So that's my time. I'm going to hand things over to Miss Laura Infante.
Laura.
I have my
Very
Russian
good.
side, so I have my Russian side, so I can say those R's. But Laura, honestly, she's one of my favorite. She is one of my favorite female speakers. I might even say my favorite one. She has the ability to. Oh, there's some feedback. She has the ability to inspire you to take action to be the best version of yourself in every area of your life. And I think people like that are a true blessing, because they make you like, okay, I got to get to work. I got to be better. I got to be a better mom. I got to be a better business owner, whatever it might be, right? And she is that person. She will speak some life into you guys tonight. She's going to talk about how to now increase your income and different ways what that looks like. But Laura and her husband have only been with our firm now. Sorry, I'm mixing the numbers up. I think about under 10 years. And you know, they have locations kind of all across Canada, have been very successful. Someone I count as a mentor in multiple areas of my life. I admire their marriage and the relationship what they have with their kids. I think I saw actually her kids there. If you hear their kids speak, you know what that woman teaches her children, right? It's just amazing. So I am so excited to hear from you. Take it away, Laura Infante.
Thank you. I brought my gang to cheer tonight. Okay, so everybody can hear me okay? Thumbs up. Karina, can you give me a thumbs up? Look at that baby. That's amazing. So first of all, tonight what I want to do is I want to set your heart on fire. You made the time to be here, either in Zoom or in person, especially if you're in Ontario. It's almost like bedtime for you, right? But the reason why is because there was a calling in your heart to be here. You want to be better. You want to do better. You want to become a better person, but you want to become a better Christian as well. And I love that and appreciate that. And I think that there is a verse that I love, and it says that the Lord is at the door and he knocks, but it is our job to go and open that door. And the opening the door could be something as simple as logging into the Zoom tonight and hear something that you were hoping to hear, that you needed to hear. So what I want to do tonight is to set your heart on fire. I want you to leave tonight with this vision of yourself of fulfilling your God-given purpose. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Every single one of you, we're created for a reason. And that reason is to help humanity. A lot of the times I look at people and they're like, I want to be a hippie and go around the world and then travel the world and, you know, not have any earthly possessions. That will make me free. That's kind of like the new generations. I want to go around the world, travel the world, not have to worry about anything or anybody. Let me tell you something. We were created to give. We all have a gift, and every gift is different, but that gift was meant to bless other people. Do you agree with me? So I don't know if you are 10 years old, 20 years old, all of you look beautiful. I'm pretty sure that you are under 20. But if you are even in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, there is still a mission for you. And I want to remind you of that mission, okay? So one of my favorite verses is this one. It says, enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your tent curtains wide. Do not hold back. Lengthen your cords. Strengthen your stakes. What does that mean? You got to dream big, man. You got to improve. There is in the Bible a verse that says that we were made as the image of God, and God put eternity in our hearts. So what that means, we always want to pursue a better version of us. We should always pursue a better version of us. So right now, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, you should be in that constant pursuit of becoming the best version of you. Because for me, my biggest dream is that one day when I face my Creator, he will look at me and tell me, good and faithful servant, you became everything that I created you to be. Wouldn't that be amazing to be greeted that way? I don't want to be greeted like, Laura, I had this big future for you. You were going to change this many lives. You were going to have this amazing life, but you were too scared. You were too lazy. You thought it was too late. I want to pursue the best version of me until the day I die. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So I believe there is destiny decisions in your life. There is moments that have been orchestrated already in your life that will change the course of your destiny forever. But the question for you is, are you going to take action? Are you going to take action? Because I believe that you have to put action where there's vision. Because where there's vision, God will give you provision. Does that make sense? But you have to take actions. So that's what we're going to be talking today about. Now, right now, you might be like, but Laura, I want to take action, but I cannot make ends meet. I hate my job, but I still need the job because I need to pay my bills. There has to be a better way. There is a better way. As Lina mentioned, and Rafael was alluding to that as well, God is the God of silver and gold. He owns everything. He can give you anything because he created everything for you. I just came back from 3 weeks in Europe with my entire family, and the places I saw and the beautiful hotels and like the scenery. There's a place called Bruges in Belgium Man, there is more castles than houses. There is actually swans living around the city, like a Disney movie. I feel like a princess. There's no dogs, there is swans, for God's sakes. So when I was there, I was looking at this beauty and I was like, God, you created all of these for us to enjoy. You deserve to be amazed by his wonders. But we need to open the door to the wonders, right? So what is the problem right now? About half Canadians, around 46 to 48% of Canadians, report living paycheck to paycheck according to national surveys. This means they use most of what they earn just to cover expenses with little to be left. Do you think that that's how God intended for you to live? Absolutely not. He owns everything, right? He is our Father. Anyone has children here? Raise your hand. Would you allow your child to live in poverty? No, you want to give them everything. We actually give them more than we give ourselves. Isn't that true, right? So imagine our Heavenly Father wants to give you everything, and everything means everything. So what the Bible says, 2 Corinthians 9:8, and God is able to bless you abundantly. It doesn't say just paycheck to paycheck, whatever you need to pay, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. He wants you to have everything you ever dream of. And then Proverbs 3:9-10 says, honor the Lord with your wealth. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing. Guys, when was the last time you feel there is overflow in your bank account? Right? How many times you think there's overflow in my fridge? There is overflow in my investments, right? Like most of us look at our paycheck, because I work in human resources, and all you see is taxes. And you're like, oh my God, right? You have to believe that there is a better way. And then Deuteronomy 28:11, the Lord will grant you abundant prosperity. Now, I want you to know something. If you're a person of faith, which you should be, because we're here, you decided to come here. Let me tell you something. All of the verses that Lina and I have covered so far, and we'll cover in the next few minutes, they are not just nice sayings. They are the law. They are true. They are promises. They are sealed by God. And he doesn't lie. He can't lie. And I can tell you that all of these promises, I can attest that are true. Because if I didn't touch on my story, and I'll touch on my story later on, but I come from a teeny tiny town in Mexico. My parents were very low working class. We never had much. Me and my brother still joke about the fact that we were given $2 each day to feed our entire family. And we just didn't have a rich uncle, no way for us to be abundant in any way. But what we had was the trust that all of these things were promises that will be fulfilled if we actually walk in the Lord. And it happened. Like right now, we have been in business for 10 years, and by year 8, we became the first millionaires in our family. So if it happened to me, it can happen to all of you, okay? So it is a promise. It's not just nice things. It will happen. Now, another problem. Total household debt. Canadians owe over $3 trillion in household debt across mortgages, credit cards, credit card loans, and lines of credit. Canadians' household debt to income ratio is about 176%. That means that for every dollar Canadians earn, they owe about $1.75 in debt. Highest debt among major economies. Did you know that right now, in the last 10 years, Canada has become one of the highest household debt levels among the G7 countries? It's a shame. It's a shame.
Oh, I gotta check the
we higher than countries like US and Germany. But what does the Bible say?
What?
Deuteronomy 28:12 says, the Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty. You will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. We are meant to be the ones lending to everybody, to be a blessing to everybody. Now, how many of you actually go to church? In a weekly basis, maybe, right? Once in a year, maybe, but you go to church. Did you know that if all of us, people of faith, really put this into practice, the churches will not need actual volunteers. The churches will not need donations. because we, the people of God, will have plenty to help the people in need, right? To build churches, to staff the churches, no need for any volunteers. So many times us people of faith think, you know what, I don't have money, I will volunteer my time, and that's good, it comes from a good place, but you should convince yourself that you should be abundant, because when you give from a place of abundance, everything changes, right? It says that money magnifies the person that you are. So I believe all good people, all Christian people should be very wealthy, because we will make a difference with the money that we are entrusted with. Now, Proverbs 22:7, the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower will be a slave to the lender. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be a slave. I want to rule, because if good people rule, the world will be a different place. The wicked borrow and do not repay, but the righteous give generously. And Proverbs 13:22, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. Now, do you hear that? It's not to your children, to your children's children, meaning your grandchildren should still be enjoying of the seeds that you planted. So what kind of seeds are you planting right now? Now, maybe you're thinking, well, Laura, you know what? I live paycheck to paycheck. I'm an immigrant to Canada, or I was born in Canada, but I just don't see how I can get out of this. Well, there is another way. And when I came to Canada 20 years ago, no English, no education in Canada, no Canadian experience, nothing. I just came because I believe that Canada was a place of milk and honey. So I was like, I'm going to that place. So I came here and I started working as an employee. So this is called the cash flow quadrant. Thank you. So the E stands for employee. Now, if you're an employee, that's the most restricted place to be. Why? Because you are told how many hours to work, when to take vacations, how much you're going to be paid per hour, and also how much you're going to be taxed at the end of the day. So a lot of people, if you are in this quadrant, I understand how you feel. You seem like, I want to do good, I want to have abundance, but my paycheck does not scream millionaire. So what I recommend is there's another way. You can start becoming a self-employed person. A lot of people go through that route. They start doing their own massage at home, right? They become massage therapists. They are accountants. Now they are consultants. They become self-employed. That is good, offers more flexibility. The only problem with being self-employed is that if you don't work, then there's no income. The idea is that you become a business owner. If you become a business owner, then you have flexibility of when to work, how much you're going to get taxed, right? Because there's a lot of things that you can do there. And the best place to be is an investor. Why? Because now you have the freedom to invest in people, to invest in projects, and that's what you want. Now, one of the things that I love about a business owner now, I get to speak about my faith. How many of you are allowed to speak about your faith at work, right? Not many. When I was in human resources, I could not even quote the Bible in my signature. I could quote Buddha, I could quote Albert Einstein, but not the Bible. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I could see a lot of people suffering and needing direction, and I could not speak about my faith. But when you have your own business, that is a blessing. You can actually do good, but also you can be free to speak about the things that are important to you. So business owner, investor, that is the way to go. Now, why is also smart and wise to become a business owner? Because financially, and that's why you are all here, I don't need to preach to the choir. The reason why you're here is because not only you have a faithful heart, but you also want to know how to have a faith-based compass to manage your money. Isn't that true? And how to earn your money. So I'm going to tell you, if you're an employee, the problem with being an employee is that you get taxed first. This is very important. And a lot of the times in the school, nobody teaches you that. Everybody is preparing you to get a job. Nobody tells you that having a job is going to cut your income in 3 parts, and they're going to take 1/3 of the bat, right? So this is what happens. Let's say that you have a great job, you earn $200,000 a year. Well, the government is going to take their share. Almost at that income level, the tax bracket in most provinces will take about 35% from your paycheck. You don't even see it. You're promised to be making that money, and then when it's deposited into your account, you're like, this is a scam, right? So you are taking 70,000. Now you are left with 130,000. Now from there, you have to pay your internet, your cell phone, your mortgage, this and that. Let's say your expenses are $130,000 in the year, like most families, then you're left with zero to be saving. Now, having zero in the savings, is that the Christian way to live? No, because we read that you have to leave an inheritance for your children's children. So if it's zero, doesn't matter how many times you multiply zero, your grandchildren are getting zero, right? So that's not the Christian way to live. But if you start a business and you earn in a year $200,000, and then you put all your expenses there, your car, your gas, your internet, your meals that you're eating out, your computer, your cell phone, then you're only going to be taxed on what is left. So let's say whatever is left is $70,000. Then you're in a different tax bracket because you're a business owner, but also because of the income that your business generated. So you only get taxed 17%. Now, how much you have left to save? $58,000. So I don't know which scenario you prefer, but zero multiplied for whatever number is still zero. But 58,000 in savings, even if you put it in a very conservative investment, like Lina mentioned, of 3%, you're going to be able to live an inheritance. And not only you're going to be able to live an inheritance in the form of money, but also on the wisdom to use money and the wisdom to generate money. How many times do you tell your kids, go and fight for your dreams? Do you do that? Go and fight for your dreams. Anything is possible if you put your mind to it. But how many times you tell yourself that? How many times you actually go and fight for your dreams? How many times you show your children with your example that you are fighting for your dreams? I saw a post recently, and it was beautiful. It says, if your children ever ask you in the future, Mom, did you have to give up your dreams to make mine possible? And it says, I hope that the answer is no, right? I rebuild our dreams together. But for me, I will even go a step further. I want to tell my children, no, I didn't stop my dreams to make yours possible. I pursue mine to show you how you should go and fight for yours. That's what I want. I want to leave a legacy of my children watching me become the best version of me, so that they want to go and do the same thing for their dreams and their goals, right? Children don't do what you say, they do what they watch you do, right? So let's just leave a legacy not only of money, but also of how to manage money. Now, if you have a job, this is what your children are going to learn. My mom makes $200,000 a year. Yay! Let's say you're promised that job for the rest of your working years, 30 years. You're like, yes, I'm going to end up with $6 million. Well, then taxes as an employee, 35%. They're taking 2.1 million. You're left with 3.9, and you're like, it's okay. 30 years with 3.9, I can make it work. But a house in Alberta, not Toronto, let's say you have to pay 800,000, then you're left with 1.5, right? Oh, what after interest 1.5, you're left with 2.3. And then you divide that 2.3, you're like, that's a lot of money. You divide it between like 30 years, you're left with $6,569 a month. And you might be thinking, that's awesome. That's not even how much I make right now. Well, let's see. And we are very conservative here, right? House repairs, maintenance, taxes, utilities, house insurance, phones, internet, vehicle payments. We're not even talking about like, Starbucks. We're not even talking about how many trips we take to like Uganda to see family or Colombia for a month. We are not even talking about that. We are not even talking about the fact that most immigrants will have to take care of their parents when they're older, right? Because we just have to, because that's our calling, to make sure that they are well taken care of. I know I took my mom to Paris and it wasn't cheap last month. So we are not even accounting for that. So with all of that, guess what? $6,500 a month already left. Woo! You have $69 left to build an inheritance and like show your kids how to invest. And like, no, that's not going to happen. So this is, instead of journey of a job, I should name this slide let me tell you a sad story. That should be the title. And then you just like read this. Because most of us, if you're an employee, that is the reality, right? Most people cannot have just one job. Most people have to have multiple jobs, and mom and dad are working. In my parents' time, only dad had to work. Mom could stay with with the children and raise them in a God center home. But right now, did you know, this is a very sad part, and I'm gonna share it with you because you're all people of faith. Most of us work 2 or 3 jobs and leave our children to be educated by the schools, the TVs, the iPads, and the cell phones. Do you think that they are teaching them the godly way to live? No. So the answer is for us to be able to have a business that will allow us. Can you hear me?
You got smaller.
Oh, the camera went for me. Oh yeah, like what happened? My camera does not like me. Let's see. I think I have a good face. Why the camera didn't? Let's see. I don't know what happened. I don't know how to use the camera.
Are you coming to get a burger?
I have my brother here, but I'm gonna speak like this.
Oh, you're gonna see how tall you are?
Okay, good.
Did you film that?
There you go. Let me just add a spotlight. There you go. Okay. So that's a sad story, and you don't want society to be raising your children. But what is the solution? This is the solution. When I started this business 10 years ago, I would never in my life, when my husband was introduced to this business, would have said yes. For me, I only knew how to get a job, retire from that job, and be good, right? That's how I was raised. But my husband saw something that I could not see. And that was the opportunity to have a business that I can actually pass down to my children. I'm going to ask you a question. How many of you have jobs in Zoom or in person? How many of you have jobs? Can you pass that job to your children? No. Maybe you're like, I don't even want to pass it down to my children, right? I can barely go to my job without having to have a nervous breakdown, right? But even if you could, even if you climbed the ladder, had a great job, and then you want to pass it to your children, you became a CEO, you can't do that. Your children will have to start from the bottom, just like you, for 40 years, build a career. You don't want that, right? You already paid the price. So when my husband explained our business model, this is how it works. It has a franchise component where we have a system already that is guaranteed to give you results because other people have done it and have succeeded, and we are willing to teach you. The way that I became a millionaire in 8 years, I want to teach you how to do that in 5. Does that make sense? Because I already done it. We have all the branding done. We have a real estate almost component where we have unlimited income potential. We don't have any inventory, and we have a financial component because finance is the highest paid industry, and we have ongoing training every single time. Now, why do I love this business? Because we have 4 things that I think, if I look in the Bible, I'm pretty sure there will be active income, residual income, passive income, and bonuses somewhere there. And I will say amen to all the 4 because this is the only godly way to live. Like if I can be sleeping and still make money, I'm pretty sure that's the way God intended it to be, right? So this business has active income. When I help a client directly myself, I make income from there. But also residual income because that client, I keep serving that client. If you ever read anything from Tony Robbins, from Bob Proctor, they say that the only way for you to become wealthy is by serving others. Not by working many hours. If I work 80 instead of 40, I'm going to become wealthy. No. It's how many people you serve. And guys, in the Bible, servant leadership. Who is Jesus? A servant. We are called to serve. So here, if you are retaining your clients, helping your clients throughout their lives, you will receive residual income from the same transaction that you did 20 years ago. Also, you get passive income because you're helping other people start their own businesses. So you get a portion of their book of clients as well because you serve as a mentor to others so that they can reach their dreams. The more people you help for them to reach their dreams, the more money you're going to be making. And that has to be in the Bible. Like the more people you help, the more richer you become. Why? Because it is just the law of harvest, right? Then Bonuses. We also get bonuses from the companies that we represent because
I
we
said
are
that
helping
better
more
be
and more
good.
clients. Now you can do it part-time, right? You can do it full-time as an agency owner. Most people who do it part-time, they can make between 1,000 to 1,500 plus residual for every client they help. And Proverbs 13:22 says, build generational legacy. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children. And that's why residual income, passive income, and bonuses are what is going to keep your legacy alive. Any other business cannot do that, right? But if you are an agency owner, the average income for an agency owner is about $250,000. Who would like to make $250,000 a year? And the best part is it's not only how much you make, is you get to make it forever because it's your own business and it starts accumulating the more clients you're able to serve. So this is, I believe this is like a model that will really please God in a way, but also you want to retire comfortably. And if you just rely on your CPP, right, Canada Pension Plan, even if you work 40 hours for 30 years, by the age of 65, you're going to get about $1,300 a month. What can you do with $1,300 a month? You cannot even pay rent. And the average in Canada, people are getting $772. But if you decide to start your own business in our firm, first of all, you can talk about your faith openly. Yay. You can control your own time. Yay. You can serve others. Yay. You can give to churches. Yay. You can do so much and bless so many people. But also, if you work 4 hours a week for 5 years, right? And then you get about $2,000 a month. But if you keep doing the same thing, you see a couple clients here and there consistently, by age 45, it's about $2,800, age 55, $5,500, age 65, about $10,000 if you keep doing that repeatedly. Because this business accumulates its growth because you start helping more clients and then you get more residual income. Now, I'm going to leave you with this. Ephesians 3, maybe you're thinking like, Laura, I'm too old, I'm too young, I have no experience in finances, I don't think that I can do it, I have never seen myself starting a business or doing anything in the financial industry. Well, Ephesians 3:20 says, now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. I want you to know that. Whatever you believe is too small for the things that God has in store for you. Whatever you have been dreaming about, make it bigger. 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger. Guys, I could never imagine from my humble beginnings to be able to become a millionaire. If I could do it, you can do it. All you need is to believe, and you need a system and people who have a heart for serving others, so that we can show you how it's done. Now, 2 Timothy 1:6, fan into flame your gift. Fan into flame the gift of God which is in you. You all have a gift. Like I remember when I brought my brother into the business, which by the way, if you have a job, you cannot bring your family to your company. Here, we are encouraged to bring our family, right? I work with my husband, with my brother, with my sister-in-law. When I brought him, he's like, but Laura, I don't speak like you. You love speaking, but he loves teaching. He's very detail-oriented. That's his gift. Now he can pass that gift to his clients, explaining everything in a way that I could not do. Does that make sense? Every single one of you have a gift that can help you, and you need to use it. Wouldn't that be sad that you come to the presence of God and he's like, what did you do with all the talents that I gave you? I hide them. Yay. No, you have to multiply, because also the Bible is, for whomever has been given more and they will have an abundance, whoever doesn't have, even what they have will be taken from them. I don't know about you, but I don't want anything being taken from me. I want to be added more, but you get to be added more in the same measure that you are able to use it. If you don't use it, you lose it. And then Jeremiah 29:11, a future and a purpose. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in a future. Prosper you. Believe it. Receive it. Make sure that it burns your heart, that you believe that you deserve it, that you are called to do that, right? So I want you to try it. What will be the worst thing that happens if you decide to try to do this business? That you're like, oh, you know what? I learned so much about finances and now I can manage my own money. Great. I help a couple people be better in their finances. Great. I became a millionaire through this business. Awesome, right? There is nothing that could go wrong if you try it. And I'm pretty sure that God will bless you, but you have to give the first steps. When he parted the Red Sea, he didn't part the Red Sea at the first glance. They had to walk and then it was parted, right? Action. We need to take action. That's what pleases God when we take actions. Now, to finalize this, maybe you're like, but Laura, now you look so polished. You're a millionaire. You have this life. That was my life. This is me and my brother. My brother's first row right here. Me and my brother. Do we look like millionaires? No. The sense of fashion my mom had, I don't know. I don't know whose clothes was that, but okay. Now I buy clothes for my mom, but I'm like, Mom, really? Look at this. Red socks, like polka dot top. I don't know what my brother is wearing, but like we don't like this was our home. This was our home. Actually, this was added afterwards, but that was the home that we were raised. And now this is what we get to live because we trust in God. God has granted all the desires of our hearts. And he can do that for you. He promised that he will grant all the desires of your heart. You know what the problem is? You don't know how to dream anymore. That God is looking into your heart to see what are your desires. And he can find big dreams, big visions to fulfill. So stop playing small because we don't have a small God. And start thinking big because in the same measure that you believe and that you can visualize your life is he's going to be able to bless you. Now, let me warn you, when you take the decision, when you start stepping into your destiny, what's going to happen is things are going to get rocky because God will test you in the same measure that he wants to bless you. He will test you in the same measure that he wants to bless you. So just be ready because the way, the path for you to become the person he created you to be, it's not going to be easy, but that's why you want to join a firm like ours where we can be walking along that path. Does that make sense? That's what we can promise. And you can see we have been able to do so much, but not only for us. We started to bless ourselves, then we bless our family. Now we want to bless the world. And that's what we are called to do. There's no better business where you can not only fulfill your destiny, but also make a difference. Because my prayer for you is that it says in there, it says that David fulfilled his purpose for his generation. So my question to you is, are you leaving a mark in this generation? Are you leaving a mark? Because that's what we are all called to do. So with that, that's my part, guys. I hope that I set your heart on fire, that I reminded you what you were called to become and be, and that you leave tonight thinking, I deserve to be prosper, abundant, that God wants to bless me. He wants to fulfill all the desires of my heart. The only thing that I need to do is believe and take action. Does that make sense? Okay, so connect with the person who invited you. We love you so much. May God bless you abundantly to you and your family and give you peace. Love you so much. Have a great rest of your night. Ciao.